All right, welcome back. Ready? Stand up tall. Let's pay attention. We're going to get a good balance. So back straight, fingers on the side of your body. Always a good bow for a sign of respect. Let's shake those arms out real quick. Get the shoulders loosened up. So rotate those shoulders. You're going to be cranking on a shoulder today. So let's get that thing loose. We don't want to get any injuries. So flexibility in our shoulders, something pretty big. All right, twisting side to side. So just get a little twist, a little left, a little right. Pivot that foot, let that body turn. Get that back stretched out. Oh, man. So we're twisting, twisting. All right, let's do our legs. So keep your feet down. Keep your knees straight. Just rotate your hips around your feet. If you need a little more balance, you can go feet a little bit farther apart. Just rotate it around. Feel the outside of your hips stretching. Feel that back stretching. Feel those hamstrings stretching. All right, ready? Bend your knees. Do the same thing. You can put your hands on your knees so you can stay bent down. Try to make some circles. Loosen those knees up a little bit. Just rotating those legs. All right, let's get the body warmed up a little more. So feet farther apart. Hands up in front. Seat goes backwards. Body squats. We're just going to do 30 seconds, not too long. Just get that blood flowing, right? Warm that muscle up a little bit. Get those hip joints moving a little bit. Halfway through, not too much longer. Make sure you're doing those body squats each day. Keep those legs nice and strong. I had workout class earlier. I don't know if you did these, but I did probably a good 5 minutes of these already today. All right, 3 more. 1, 2, last one, 3. All right, have a seat. Let's stretch those legs out just a little bit. So we have one leg out, one leg on the inside, back straight. Rotate your hips into those toes. Reach out for that foot. If you can't get it, just grab your leg, pull yourself down. This week, we're talking about expectations still. So remember, expectations are when you strongly believe that something will happen, right? Or come of what you're doing. Okay, split, other foot. So last week we talked about in classes trying to figure out what our expectation is. Not what our goals are, not what we're trying to accomplish, just what do we expect. You just think if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to have something come from it. So if I go to class, I'm going to get a new belt, right? So that's just something we believe. It's not something we really have details about. And this week, straddle stretch, we're going to talk about setting the goals, right? Instead of it just being an expectation, setting the goals to make it come true, and or what actions or activities have to happen. So if my goal is to get a new belt, right? Yes, I do have to go to class, but I also have to get something out of every class, right? So maybe I'll take notes after every class, be an activity, right? Or an action I can take. I have to ask for feedback from teachers. That might be another thing I have to do, right? Maybe I even have to review my material so if I get to class early, or if I stick around a minute later on the practice mat. Keep going left and right, trying to get more flexible, get those elbows down. So start to think about right now what kind of little things you have to do, what kind of goals, activities, actions that you have to take to make those 12-month expectations actually happen. Instead of just expecting them to happen, let's start to create a goal out of them. So that's kind of the conversation for this week. I want you to stop and just think, what are my goals or what are my expectations for the next 12 months? And then what do I have to do to make sure that the expectation happens, right? And then next week we'll kind of talk about what road bumps, right, or what kind of things could stop it from happening. All right, back straight. Sit back, bring your feet together, bounce your knees a little bit, get the inside of those hips stretched. Remember, we're down in side control, which we'll be in today. It's good to have those hips nice and loose, gets us lower to the floor. So bounce a little bit. Now we're going to push it down. So grab onto our shins, take our elbows and push down on our knees. We're trying to flatten those hips out. Oh, keep that back straight if you can by arching that back. It rotates your hips into the stretch. You're going to feel it on the inside of your legs. The inside of your hips are where you feel this stretch. Okay, knees up. Let's go for the outside. Step your foot over the top. Slide your foot in, back straight, in the outside of your hip stretch. You notice we don't spend a ton of time stretching in jiu-jitsu class. We go a little bit quicker through the stretch than we would in one of our traditional martial arts classes. We're not throwing a lot of kicks, but it doesn't mean you couldn't spend extra time doing more static stretching to try and build that flexibility. Flexibility will help jiu-jitsu out. Okay, switch, other foot over the top, slide it up. All right, so we're here trying to arch, bring our body up to our leg. You're trying to hug your leg or trying to fit yourself in a small little package. All right, next we're going to go on our back. We're going to pull our knee across our body. So I'm going to rotate. I take my knee, I bring it up, and I go across my body all the way to the floor. And then I start reaching my other hand all the way out to the ground, trying to lower and flatten my back. Breathe in through your nose, and then as you exhale, try to lower down. In through your nose, lower and exhale. All right, flat on your back again, other knee up, bring it up to your body, and then bring it across. So I'd like to stretch it up first, then bring it all the way across, and then start to lower your arm towards the ground. Breathe in through your nose, and then go out through your mouth. Lower down on the exhales. In through your nose, a little lower on the exhale. All right, let's bring our toes overhead. So I bring my toes up, and I try to touch them behind me. If you can't do that, just keep them up in the air. If you can do it, put the toes down. Step your right foot off to your right a little bit. Step your left foot off to your left a little bit. Just kind of go back and forth. Get that range of motion. And then down. Do some quick egg beaters. So keep those feet up. Bend your knees. Make a circle in with one foot. And a circle in with the other foot. And then rotate them. Egg beaters. Then the other foot, circle out. Other foot, circle out. And then keep them going. Egg beaters. All right, feet down. Keep your back flat. Pull your arms up to your body. We're going to do some crunches. So lift your shoulders off the ground. You're exhaling out through your mouth, into your nose. We're just going to go for 30 seconds, not too long. Breathe it out through your mouth, in through your nose. Come on, 10 seconds. All right, we're going to do some bridging. So we keep our feet flat on the ground. We lift our butt off the ground. And then I roll onto my shoulder and then try to tap across my body as far as I can reach. I come back down, hands on the inside. Lift my butt, roll onto my shoulder, tap the floor. Just repeat the action. Left hand, right hand. Trying to get all the way up on the point of your shoulder. Two more. 1, 2. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see the next one. We're going to do some shrimps. Right, so I'm on my back. I'm going to turn onto my side. Same position on my shoulder. I'm going to lift my butt off the floor and try to rotate. So my feet and my shoulder don't move. So my shoulder holds still. My feet hold still. And I'm trying to bend. So I'm throwing my hands towards my feet. And I'm folding in half. And then I'm connecting my feet and I'm pulling myself back. So I'm just going to stay on my side and do some shrimps. So shrimp and back. Shrimp and back. Just working the motion. All right, let's get the other side. So turn around the opposite way. Shrimp and back. Just move in your seat. So you're turning on your side, shrimp your seat, and then come back. Shrimp your seat. Come back. Let's do one more. Shrimp your seat. And come back. All right, come on up. So we're going to be in a top side control position, and we're going to work a Kimura arm lock. It's kind of like a chicken wing or a key lock. Depending on what you search by or who teaches it to you. Essentially what happens is if you put your arms on your belt like this, right, it makes you kind of look like a key. Right, you can see the handle part, right, and then the key part. So that's why it's called a key lock. So it could be here, kind of key lock, or here. But essentially what happens is if you put your hand on your belt like this, and then you touch your hand to the middle of your back, right, touch right between your shoulders, you'll start to feel, man, I got tight shoulders, that actually hurts. You'll start to feel the front of your shoulder getting tight, right, and that's where we're attacking. So based on who you have for a partner, make sure that you're careful. If they've got tight shoulders, like the people with real big, strong muscles, if you're strong enough to actually move their arm, are pretty easy to smit with this because that's really tight and it's easy to injure that, okay? It's the arms that have like no muscle tone and they're skinny. Those ones are hard because you can keep going and the muscles don't mind. So we actually prefer the big muscle people as long as they're strong enough to move their arm. But it's right up here in the front. And what we're doing is by rotating, it's kind of gruesome, but you think like a chicken wing. If you were to grab a chicken wing and rotate and start pulling, or you're pulling it off the chicken and rotate, the meat would just sit and tear and then it would break free. That's kind of what's going on here. So we're attacking the person's shoulder to create pain, to either make them be submissive in real life, to injure them in real life, or in a sport to get them to tap because they don't want to have an injury. So what we're doing is we're taking the hand, think about this, if you put your hand on your belt, and then touch the back of your hand right up between your shoulders, right? So that you can see where that's gonna start to be tight there, right? So that's how we're attacking. We're gonna learn to do that from the top of side control. So we're gonna kind of work it in a couple stages to really kind of think about how this works. So first I'll have Mr. Anderson down. He's gonna hop on down and I'm gonna be attacking his arm, okay? So the first thing we wanna look at is he's gonna put his frame in. And this is where I wanna work it today from on top, because a lot of times I think the problem is people can't get the arm over here, because what is he doing? He's taking his arm and he's holding it. So to get it over there, a lot of people would just try to switch to an Americana. We're going to try to use this situation to our advantage. And since he has his frame in, he's most likely trying to turn into me and shrimp his butt out and get back into guard, right? I don't want any of that to happen. So I'm going to look at this as a good situation. So the first thing we're going to practice doing is realizing where our weight is, okay? I'm going to teach you something that we're not going to use today, but so you understand the difference of why we're not using it and when you would want to use it. So I'm going to put my chest down right across his arms on top of his frame, right? Okay? And this is considered secondary weight, not primary weight, okay? So what I do is I put my hands down, I rest my chest right on his arms, and he starts to push up, right? Now, as long as I'm not much heavier than him, he could probably move me pretty good, okay? And if he starts to sit up, or if he even starts to use his leg muscles by shrimping, he can give you a pretty good push, right? He's going to create space. And I'm not trying to like jump up and down, not being real active. I'm just kind of resting my weight. So for a couple of times, I'm going to rest my weight on him so he can feel his strength. I can feel his strength. And then what will happen is we'll rotate jobs. So if you need to watch, feel free to start by watching. We'll give you enough time to do this drill. We won't stop and actually talk about this one. We'll just show it to you, okay? So I'm going to start my repetitions on top of him, and then we'll rotate, and hopefully you guys can get your own repetition. So I'm here on top. He's trying to just push up. He's practicing pushing. He's using that shrimp motion where he's got his feet in the floor, rolls to his shoulder, and pushes his butt out. And you should already be going. I'm going to keep talking. He's just going to keep rotating and creating that space. And we're just kind of learning about what happens when I put my chest on someone for side control compared to another method. And hopefully we're feeling it from top to bottom. We're going to do two more, and then make sure everyone else is already rotating through. Good. So right now I'm feeling it. I'm going to be doing the attack, so I want to make sure that I'm ready to go. All right, so we're going to rotate. I'm going to have him jump on top of me, so he's going to go on the same thing. He puts his chest down across my arms, and I'm pushing. So I'm just trying to push him up, right? So he's just trying to be a little bit heavier because I got some strength in my right arm still, and I just use the shrimpy motion to just push. And so far it feels like he's pretty light. Like maybe he needs more potatoes, right? Or more cupcakes or something. There we go, look at that. Oh, it's like a one-arm push, right? So we can tell that there's not a lot of weight there when his chest's on me. It's a good and bad position, right? So it can be good, it can be bad, but we can tell that we can push on the person when they're trying to get on top. So now, watch this, we're gonna rotate to another version. So I'm going to be on top, but this time I'm going to put my belly button right over the center of his arm. So his arms are kind of crossed. I'm going to put my, he doesn't even have to, I'm going to put my belly button right over the center of his arms instead of my shoulders. Now we call this primary weight, because now this weight's a little bit different. Now he's pushing up the center. So you imagine if I was a board, right? And I was on him like this with the other end here, he's got the bottom part hinging. He's only pushing up part of the weight. If we put the middle of the board balanced on him, he's pushing up all the way. So now I put my belly button over him, and I go over the top. Now I push with his arms. Now I'm heavy, right? Now those extra hamburgers and donuts are kicking in. Oh yeah, right? So if he tries to rotate, yeah, much harder to move. Am I lighter or heavier? Heavier. Like a real heavy dude? It's not nice to say to people. Okay, ready? So now we're going to do it a couple times. We're going to put our belly button. If you can't lift this off, don't stress out your shoulders. Don't hurt yourself trying to lift us. But you'll see a big difference when I put the center of my belly button over the center of his chest compared to when I put my shoulders over. So we'll get a couple reps. He'll do a couple little bench presses. I'll do a couple bench presses. We'll see if I can lift or not. Oh, man. Yeah. Feel the difference, right? Feel it. Oh, man. One more time, I think, is enough workout for today. Oh, yeah. Big difference? Yes, sir. I'm like double the weight, right? I'll become a big dude real fast. Oh, man. Much different. He's way heavier. Not as much fun. What if I use my legs? Oh, use my chest. Oh. No, he's heavy. I thought he was light. He's now heavy. All right, so I think we understand. If I want more weight on top of my partner, I don't put my chest on. I can put my belly. Now, it's not a great permanent position, but something to think about. Someone's trying to bridge and push you off. If you adjust more of the center of your body over the top, belly button's a good reference point. You're heavier. Okay, so now for this, if I want to attack him, I don't want his arms glued to his body because it's actually going to make what I want to do the way I want to do it today harder. So I'm actually wanting to do a little bit easier. So I'm going to purposely make sure that my chest is on his frame because I want him to push me up. When he pushes up, he creates separation where now I can pull this arm through behind and actually start to get the submission. So by lifting me up, it keeps his hands busy, keeps pressure in the direction I want them going, right? So it doesn't collapse and have me drop on him. Gives me a chance to grab. Now let me show you something real quick. So he pushes his arms up. Pretend my chest is here. I'm going to be taking this right hand and going through and scooping this wrist. Okay, so my south hand, remember south is where the feet are, north is where the head is, okay? My south hand will be coming under his arm and making a hook, right? So when we do this, my south hand is coming under, palm up, and making a hook on his arm so I can attach it to me. So let me show you how this works first. So he's got his arms in, right up here, he's got his nice framework in. When he starts to push, I'm going to be bringing my right hand inside and hugging this arm. I want to hug the arm to me. Now let me explain why. If my arm is holding like this, and his arm is like that, even if he grabs his hand or doesn't grab his hand, right now, he's in charge. He still owns his arm. If he pulls his arm back, he's going to win, okay? When I attach it to me and he pulls his arm back, I'm in charge. So when I scoop this arm, I'm going to scoop and I'm going to hug it to me. When I hug it to me, I make it very hard for him to pull his arm back, okay? So I'm going to lay my chest. I want him to push up. If he's an experienced guy, he's going to be shrimping. So he's going to be turning his belly towards me to try and get a little bit of space so he can get his knee in. Which means I'm going to take this knee and keep it by his hip. I want to eliminate the amount of space between his hip and my hip because that's where his leg comes in, right? So let's turn, Mr. Anderson, so we're going to put your head over here, actually. So watch this leg, and we're going to keep going. Watch this leg here. If he starts to shrimp up and push, he gets space. See how this knee comes in? This is annoying. I don't like that. It wasn't invited to the party, right? So if you watch, when he starts pushing up, right, I'm going to make sure that I control this space. I never want him to own this space here. I always want to own that space. So I put my leg in there so he can't get it. Now watch this hand. As he starts to push up, I turn and I grab. You guys see what I did? I hooked that arm and I'm holding it to me. I'm just going to hook the arm. And then we're going to repeat. That's all we're working on. He pushes up. I control the hips so his knee can't come in. And I hug his arm so he can't have it back. So we're going to do about 5 reps. And then we'll swap jobs for 5 reps. During this time, if you need to see it, feel free to watch. We'll go kind of slow. If you think you have it, start getting the reps. Let's get going. Okay, ready? Let's see. So I'm on top. And it goes. Oh, man. I start to hug this arm. Yeah. Oh. He's going to put that knee in there on me. So I've got this. You see, I have this hug to me. I don't want him to pull. If he pulls it back, I don't want him to have it. I want him to have to pull himself up onto his side if he's going to do anything, right? I don't want him having that arm back. I don't want this knee coming in, so I'm controlling that hip. All right, one more time for me, and then Mr. Anderson gets his reps. All right, let's reverse it. Flip it and reverse it. There's something like that. The triple hurts me. All right, so I'm going to start pushing up. He's going to get his head and he grabs my arm. Starts blocking my hip with his leg and his hip. Oh, man. Yes. Yeah, this is a no thumb grip. As I tell you, remember, we're not grabbing with our thumb. We're making a hook. It's a hook grip, C grip, right? Not this kind of grip. Your whole arm is a C. No thumbs. All right, one more. All right. So we're on with our chest. We're hooking with a hand. I'm controlling the hip space. I'm owning the space between our two hips, because whoever controls that's going to stop or allow the person to get into position. Okay? So now what I'm looking at doing is I want to get his arm back behind him. So that's the next stage, yep, is to get that arm down on the floor and back behind him, which means I need my other arm to come in to help me. Okay? So we'll go through this nice and slow so you can see. So he starts to push up, right? I'm controlling, I'm getting this, and I have this hand here, and now what's going to happen is I'm going to start to get my arm in and grab my other arm. Okay, so I need to get my arm through this hole. So my left arm is going to come around and it's going to grab my arm. Okay, so now if he's got his arm here, let's say I have his arm attached to me, I might not be able to bring his arm here to attach my arm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull his arm up here like this so I can fish through. Right, when I fish through, now I have a hold of my arm. And I don't even need to hold his wrist. See this hand here? If he tries to lock his arm out, I just don't let the arm lock. Right? Because if I'm like this and he pops his hand free, he's going to get free. So a lot of times what I'll do is grab my wrist and I'll just make a hook or a flat wrist. If he extends it or he tries to rotate it, yeah, it's hard. Just because of the shoulder, right? We're tearing the shoulder when he rotates too far. So what we're going to do is we're going to have him push up. I'm going to be controlling. I get the arm, get nice and low. I'm going to get heavy on his arm. I'm going to start to bring my left arm through and fish it through to get my hold of my arm. Now when I have that, trying to come up so you can see, right? So I have my wrist, my forearm. So now I'm locking his hand. And then what's going to happen is we're going to be able to start to put it on the ground. Right now, if my partner's already ready to tap, he can tap with his feet, he can verbally tap, he can pinch me, whatever he's got to do, he can scream, right? I'm not trying to apply any kind of shoulder pressure. I'm just trying to get a hold of my wrist and put this on the floor. Most likely in this situation, he doesn't want to be submitted, so he'll start to lock his arm out, right? And we'll work on how to fight that in a second. Okay, so we're not trying to if they start to straighten their arm out to save it, just let them go. We're not really working on that. We will work on how to combat that in a little bit. So we're going to put our chest on. They're going to push up. We're going to hook the wrist. We're going to block the hip. We're going to start to fish our north hand around their arm to get on our own arm, control their hand, and then we're going to flatten it back down to the floor. Okay? That's all we're trying to do. I want to get at least 5 reps myself. He's going to get at least 5 reps. Why don't you guys do the same thing? Get your reps, and we'll go kind of slow. I know sometimes we might actually go a little bit too fast. We're going to go kind of slow in between to point out some stuff as we go to give you enough time. So get started unless you want to watch and maybe do 3 and 3 reps. Okay. So I'm on top. I get my side control. He starts to push. I get here. I control. He starts maybe trying to shrimp in. Right. I'm controlling. Get my arm. Put his hand on the mat. That's all I'm trying to do. Right. So just getting my good side control. I'm purposely putting my chest on him so he can push up. I get a hold of the arm. Get through. Start working on putting the arm down. Oh, man. See, I'm just getting my own arm, right? This arm doesn't have to grab. I can just make a hook. If he tries to straighten his arm out, look, I'll just catch it. I'll just catch it. It's okay. We don't have to keep a hold of that wrist and bend your own wrist up. All right, let's swap jobs. See, if we haven't swapped yet, we're swapping, so we're already on the second person. He's got his arms there. Got my frame in. I'm starting to turn. He's got the hook. Yep, he's getting his arm over. Yeah, good. He's getting that grip. Put the arm back behind me. Remember, partners on the bottom, they might get this submission right now, so go ahead and tap. Right, so if they start getting a hold of that arm and it starts becoming comfortable on your shoulder, right, get behind. Yeah. And partner, sometimes practice grabbing with your north hand on your wrist and try not to hold on with your south hand after you get your arm around, just so you can feel like you've got the control. Through. Yeah, because you'll have time. It makes it pretty easy to get that arm. All right, let's do one more. We'll give him a little more time. One more time. Yep, just the chest. All right, so let's look at a scenario. Right, we tend to leave out some information because then hopefully either you run into the problem because your partner's a jerk and they're stopping you, which is good sometimes, or you have this question saying, how am I going to do this? Now, before we do the submission, I'm going to show you one more piece, one more little thing that's going to kind of help you, and then we'll stop for our live people. We'll actually pause and we'll try and practice some of the things we're doing up to this point before we actually do the submission. Okay? All right. So he's got his arms in. I got my chest down. He pushes me up, right? I'm coming in, I'm sneaking in, I'm hooking this arm to me. I'm blocking the hip. From this point, I'm gonna put my hand over here. If he keeps turning in, that's fine. Right now, what he's probably going to do is he's not gonna let this arm come up here for me to grab it. He's gonna tuck his elbow in. Because I need this arm to come through, right? I can't get my north hand through. So all he did is he tucked his elbow down. So I'm holding on to it. I can't lift it up. Right? So I take this elbow and I just start to run my elbow through. And he's happy that it got to be part of this drill today. Right? So my partner's going to turn on his side. I'm just going to start, actually let's rotate 1 second so they can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I start my hand here. I'm going to start my grip here. Now what I'm going to do, you have to get your arms in nice and tight. Don't let me have it. Don't let me have it. Okay? I'm going to take my elbow and I'm just going to start to work my arm right in. So he's got a nice little nerve point, right? If I dig into that, it hurts, right? So I dig my elbow in. Another thing that might happen is we're here, right? I have this here, and I just take my arm and I just start to block. I might not even dig into his ribs. I just take my elbow and I start to just bump it in until I can get a hold of that arm. So take your elbow point of your north arm and roll your side, sir. And he doesn't want to do the same arm. Drill your elbow into this area to try to break that grip and get that arm inside. You'll tend to find that arm opens up, okay? So we're going to get a couple repetitions each. Well, if you do a couple, and then like I said, for a lot of people, we're going to pause at that point and see how you're doing, okay? All right, so let's go back to sideways. I got a couple times in his ribs. I'm really not happy. I have to go second on this one. So he pushes up, start to control. I'm getting nice and heavy. Yes, I get that grip, drive it to the floor. And you notice I'm not holding with his hand. It's just palm down. If I have it palm down, he's like, here, lift your arm under. He's not going to get his arm out. It's just friction. It's traction. I'm just holding my arm, and I'm covering his forearm. He can't get. He stresses his shoulder out. He's going to hurt himself trying to get out, right? So I don't need it. I don't need that same grip right now. Oh man, pushes me up. Start to get the control, right? I get this one flat on the ground. Flat, flat, flat. I'm not grabbing his wrist. I'll do one more, and then I'll give Mr. Anderson a shot. If you guys have it, start the repetition. If not, watch, and then during Mr. Anderson's repetition, you guys can take your turns. Oh, man, he pushes up. Oh, cross face. He doesn't want to let me have it, so I start to grind my elbow in. Tap the mat for him. All right, let's rock and roll. We're going to switch jobs. Give Mr. Anderson some reps. Feel free to start getting those reps in if you have it down. Remember, just your chest on them. That way they can actually push you up. You can leave enough pressure. He hooks his arm, pulls it in. I start to tuck my elbow. So I'm tucking my elbow. He brings the other elbow over. Starts to just grind it in. Ah, jeez. Yeah. Yeah, and if you feel it, tap. Right? It's okay to be tapped. Trying to run away. If you guys get home, can like grab her or something, get him off me. I can feel that forearm. Makes it hard to get out of. If he puts his hand flat on the mat, sir. Yeah, that's hard. Can you feel the difference, sir? Yes, if you grab a little bit higher on your forearm, too, a little bit higher on your forearm. There you go. Now, hand flat on the ground. That's hard for me to get through. That hand flat on the ground, you think I could just chop underneath it, but it's very hard to deal with. Right? Does that seem a lot easier? Yes, sir. Yeah, now grab my arm again. When he grabs my arm, remember, his hand is lighter than it used to be. When he puts it farther out, now it's a little bit heavier. It's harder to deal with. Nice. So yeah, feel free to put that hand flat on the ground. All right, let's do 2 more. One more time, then we're going to get up, start giving some feedback. Awesome. All right. At this point, if you're not live with us today, obviously we can't give you feedback. I can't see you. I have an assumption of what you're doing wrong, but not positive. So at this point, if you're not live, go ahead and pause. Just build some reps on what you're doing right now. We'll be back to finish this submission in a second. All right. For the people who didn't get the information, welcome back. Hopefully you're not making mistakes. Let's break his arm. Show you the submission. So I'm on top. He's pushed me off, right? I'm here controlling. I'm getting my arm. We're going to finish in this position here. So his arm will be down, right? And I'm going to be here. Now, he might be trying to straighten his arm and turn his thumb up and bring it back into his body like so, right? He's going to try to fish it in. I'm going to make sure that I have a hook so he can't lock his arm out. I just catch it. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to take and I'm going to scoop back and I'm going to slide his arm up. You guys see that? So his arm's out. He's trying to straighten his arm out. So you can straighten it out if you want. I'm going to slide. Slide. I'm going to try and put it underneath him. He's already ready to tap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make little hops. I'm going to hop, 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 and get his hand under. Excuse me, sir. Just sit up for a second. So my arms are out. I'm going to like hop, hop, hop. I'm going to drag it across the ground. See how that works? So it's just me going like this. Pull, 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 pull. Just constantly backing up until his hand's underneath his back. Now, partners, if we have a tight shoulder, tap. If it gets to a point, this might be a submission in itself. But what happens, once I get it there, right, and I get it up nice and high behind, then I'm going to straighten out my legs. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate my shoulders like I'm trying to look the direction of their head. So I'll show you with Mr. Anderson's arm because he's young, he'll recover. All right, so he's pushing up, right? We get the arm. We're doing all our motions to get it back to the floor. I've cinched it up nice and tight to him. I straighten out my legs, and now what's going to happen is I'm going to turn my toes towards his head, and I'm going to rotate up. And I'm trying to pull my arm like this, like I'm going to roll over. Now, if you roll onto your belly, the arm's gone, so don't roll. But here, straighten out your legs, sir. And give me your arm, please. So this is what it should look like. Don't let go of the arm, obviously, but and don't go that far, you'll rip it off. But that's what I'm thinking about doing when I have it. Excuse me, sir, I'm going to use this spot for a second. So if you watch how this works, and I'm laying here, right, and his head's this way, I'm turning my toes, and I'm just rolling like I'm going to roll over. So that's the mentality. Grab their arm and start to roll, but go slow because this hurts. So I'll show you again. We're just going from the point of gripping the arm. So I've got the arm down. I've got it now. If I get my hand on the wrist, that's great. But I'm actually going to grab more in the middle of his arm. I'm not going to grab his wrist. I'm actually going to grab more in the middle of his arm, and I grab the middle of my arm. Unless he's real tight here, I'm just going to keep my hand on the floor. Okay? So middle and middle. I straighten out my legs. I turn my toes. See how my toes are turned towards his head? And I rotate. And when I rotate, you get that tap. Okay? Try not to look way up like this at the ceiling. Just keep your body down low and just rotate. See how my head's down? My head's up because I'm talking to you. But if I'm doing this, I have my head down on the arm and I just rotate the shoulder. And I get that nice little beat with his foot. Try and get like wipeout playing on his foot. Cool? If you know what wipeout is. Alright, so we're just going to go. I'm going to go slow through the steps. If you have this, just start in the arm position and start cranking. If for some reason you forgot, there'll be a chance for you to hear all the steps again. I'm on top, purposely chest, not belly button. I allow the push. I hook the arm, I pull it to me, I drop my weight into him. I'm blocking the hip so he can't get his knee in. If he's rotating into me, that's great. It gives me a second to get my arm through. I'm pushing his arm out. I'm keeping it flat. If I can get his forearm, getting his forearm in my forearm, even if his arm's almost straight, I can still get the submission, right? If his arm is bent, that's fine too. I go here, I switch my feet. I'm keep my head down. I'm just gonna trap his head down here, and I'm gonna go. So I keep my head on his arm, I look where I wanna go, and I rotate over the top, okay? I'll do it one more time, that'll give me enough time, and then we're gonna switch Mr. Anderson in a couple reps. So I'm down, or maybe I'll do a bunch, we'll run out of time, and he won't be able to slip my arm. So he pushes me up, I get this grip, I start getting it nice and heavy on his arm, right? He starts swimming into me. I'm staying close, I'm getting this arm out, I get it to the floor, I'm here, and I'm rotating to get that tap. All right, we'll swap around. Mr. Anderson will get some reps. Make sure you get your reps in. You see here, I'm pushing up on him, getting the arm, it's getting around, gets the elbow in, gets hold of the hand, flattens the back. I'm gonna lay my back because it's not fun. Try to lock the arm out, he just pinches it in. Even if it gets out here, you can grab my forearm and his forearm, and it's just fine. You only need a little bend. He's got the weight right, so he sinks back. He's got his legs turned. Yeah, cranks, good. Yep, good. Let's do it again. He's got the whole arm, traps it, he pulls it through, kind of skipping a couple steps on my side to kind of speed up his part. Now, watch my hand. Set my arms out. He just starts to drag it back. Drag. Yeah, drag. Just till he gets my hand underneath my body. So now he might be grabbing closer to my wrist to bend it. Yeah, that's a lot tighter. Oh, man. Now he flattens out. Correct. Now when he starts to drive, he's going to get that submission. So if I start to lock my arm, remember, he just cinches it back underneath me. But I just showed you, you can do it with the arm all the way out. It's a lot nicer to have it right here, though. So he's on top, and I'm pushing him off. I'm shrimping in. I'm starting to go. I want my arm back. If I put my arm out, that just helped him a little bit. Trying to turn and lock my arm. He's just going to drag me back into him. Yep, he's getting his own forearm so he can get a wrist grab. Oh, man. Yep. Oh. Good. Something to think about, if your body weight is over our belt and you rotate, we're going to sit up with you, okay? So if you watch for a second, we're going to have him do it wrong purposely. Okay, so he gets my arm, and he's going to, you got to go ahead and get it. I need you to do it wrong, though. Yeah, he puts his chest over my belt, and he rolls himself up, and I just sit up with him, right? And as long as I didn't break my shoulder first, I'm out. This time I'm going to show you the difference. So now if you watch his spine's really high on my chest now. So now when he gets it, he kind of cinches himself up high. So his spine is right on top of my chest. So if he tries to roll and I try to sit up, I can't because he's kind of scooting more north, and it makes it very hard for me to sit up. Where if he scoots south, if his spine is over my belt and he sits up, I'm going to sit up with him, right? It gives me the ability to run away from that pole. Where when his chest is up nice and high on me, I can't sit up because his weight is on me, okay? So something to think about. Let's get a couple more reps. Let's keep going. We got a little bit of time left. We're here, not putting a lot of effort in to shrimp it out just because we want our partner to get the proper reps. He's getting my arm down. If I start to lock it out, he cinches it in, gets it nice and tight. Yep, good. Nice and hard with the shoulder. Yeah, so if you had a problem with your partner sitting up, you should try and get a couple more reps. So we have enough time for 4 more reps in the video. So remember, you can always do it afterwards. So we're starting to push up. He's going to get a hold of that arm. We're going to slip that arm in. If I start pinching my elbow down, he just, drives his elbow into me. He's got it nice and tight. Yep, he starts to get his chest up high. He's high on me. That makes it so much worse. So much worse. I don't like when people have their chest super high. We got 3 more reps. So if you're trading off, we're giving enough time. We're going kind of slow. I'm going to just push him all the way over now. Yeah, there we go. Good. He's got his chest a bit better. Getting the hand out of his face. Yep, good. Nice and tight to my back. Oh. 2 more reps. You got 2 more. So if you're switching, switch. Otherwise, same person. I'm pretty flexible there. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Keeping the arm up high, right? Hands in the middle of the back. We got time for 1 more rep. just got his forearm. I can feel it. He's tighter. Oh, instantaneous pain. All right, phenomenal. So let's review real quick. I'll have Mr. Anderson go down. Kind of see what we talked about today. We have primary weight, secondary weight. Essentially, if my belly button's over the top, he's lifting all of me. If just my chest is, he's rotating me by whatever base I have on the floor. So if I want to not have him push me up, if I don't want this to start happening, belly button, right? I kind of understand when I put my chest on him where my next step is, and I understand maybe I'm searching for a Kimura. So I purposely put my chest on him, I get kind of heavy, so that way when he pushes up, I get a chance to grip this. Now, we could go for other versions of Kimuras, right? We could do other kinds of things. We're working on doing it from side. The other ones aren't wrong, right? This is the version we want to learn today, right? Maybe every time I go up like that, he gets out, I want to keep better body control. When I have this arm, you're going to run into situations where, ready? Yeah, I start kind of slicing my arm in this way to get it in, or I might start bringing my elbow in. When I get this, if they lock their arm out, this is bad. So try to keep a small bend in their arm. We can work another day on using our grips to rebend their arm, but we want to keep it a little bit bent. If it's too far out, I work on bringing it under him, right? Trying to bring it into his back for the submission. And then when I do this, if my body's on his belly, you'll notice when I start doing this, he just sits up with me. This really doesn't bother him a whole lot. I might be able to finish, but he's in a lot better position. When I put my body up on top of his shoulders and I rotate, he can't sit up. I mean, even if I'm just here, he just can't do a sit-up, right? So the last thing I talked about is getting your weight more on top of their shoulder line and their chest instead of their belly. I've seen a lot of people try to finish these and the person just sits up with them, especially if they're strong and you don't have enough strength to flex. They start having enough strength to flex their arm. It can be kind of frustrating. So some of the details, hopefully they got into today. Hopefully you got to work them. Definitely appreciate you guys coming down. If you're live, we'll stick around for a second afterwards. Let you ask some questions and cover some information. Otherwise, for the rest of the people, we're all going to bow at this point. So ready? Hop up on our feet. We'll come to a good attention position. Back straight, fingers pointed, thumbs scrolled in, shoulders back. Start with a good chariot, meaning pay attention. And a good Kenya bow. High fives. Nice.